Good afternoon. Goodness. Welcome to part two. I'm Tawanda Jordan, president of the college. Thank you all for coming to this. This is a really important activity for us. Someone said to me, "Oh, is it important?" I was like, what kind of question is that? Of course it's important. This is one of the most important things we as a college will be doing. We are, and in my remarks I talk about our being, we must always be good stewards of the public trust. And this is part of that. So that's why we're going to do these things. We did it last night. We're doing it tonight. We're going to do it again tomorrow. And you all, now some of you, you get these little brochure things, these little flyers, and you don't really read them. You look at the pictures. So I want you to read them because on it says, there's a link for you to go to give us your comments. So we are an honors college. We should be able to read that, and we should all be able to use our computers and click on that link and provide your comments. So please don't forget to do that. So our commemoration project is so important to our community, both internal and external. The enslaved peoples, many of whom helped cultivate and nurture this land, even in the face of atrocities, are the foundations of our community and our nation. I want to give you a brief overview of how it is that St. Mary's College journeyed to this very moment, where we are preparing to construct a commemorative site to ensure that we never forget to remember our past in all of its beauty and brutality. In October of 2017, an archaeological study of the Jamie L. Roberts Stadium site discovered slave dwellings from two distinct periods, the 18th and 19th centuries, that predated the founding of the college. We decided it was important to relocate the site of the athletic stadium in order to preserve archaeological features to the greatest extent possible. Working with the Executive Council, we decided that we needed to inform the community. But how? We took the academic approach. We had focused meetings, and we drafted a plan. We wanted to be open and honest about what was found, as well as collaborative with the community stakeholders. The plan included making a community-wide presentation with the various stakeholders, speaking at the presentation. We tested the presentation using both internal and external focus groups. This was and is a community endeavor. I made opening remarks about the significance of the discovery to the college and to this place. A faculty member, Julia King, described what was discovered about the site and the people who lived there. An administrator, Chip Jackson, presented the implications of the discovery on the construction of the athletic stadium. A community member, Regina Fodden, put the discovery in the context of Southern Maryland history from the perspective of how it is told from historic St. Mary's City. I established a commemoration committee led by Jeff Coleman, who's professor of English and coordinator of African and African diaspora studies, to coordinate our commemoration efforts. Commemoration committee members are Iris Ford, Kent Randall, Gary Denny, Ellen Cole, Christine Woolley, Annie Anguera, student Jada Ward, and Jeff Coleman. If you're here, please stand so we can recognize you. Under the leadership of the Commemoration Committee, St. Mary's College engaged in pre-concept efforts, including a benchmarking study and an identification of potential themes and how to put this discovery into the broader context of our being stewards of the public trust and to educate. For the sake of time, let us fast forward a year later. In October 2018, we recruited CodaWorks to guide our search for an artist for the commemorative site. Nicole Carroll is VP for Development at CodaWorks. Out of 57 submissions, CodaWorks determined that 28 met our minimum criteria. The selection committee identified 3 finalists who were given an opportunity to visit the site, engage with the community, prepare, and ultimately present their proposals to us, the reason we're here today. The selection committee includes Iris Ford, who is Associate Professor of Anthropology, Lisa Shear, Chair of the Art and Art History Department, Michael Brown, St. Mary's County Art Council, Chip Jackson, Paul Pusiker, who's our Vice President for Finance, and Maurice Schlesinger, Director of Facilities and Planning. If you're in the room, please stand and be recognized. And I too was on that committee, and I'm standing, but you don't need to recognize me. So, let me turn my page here. And now here we are at this moment in time. As we prepare to engage with the artist and imagine how to bring our commemorative site to life, let us remember that this commemorative is about more than simply remnants and relics. It serves as a reminder of the many lives that existed at this place at that time. This is our history. Our present becomes our past. Our past informs our future. It is our responsibility to do our part in making it a better one. It is important to note that this commemorative is not a standalone effort or a one-off. It is a step in what should be a long-term collaboration and partnership with local, regional, and national experts and organizations to learn and to educate. It is part of a bigger effort to fully understand the history of this place, the enslaved people who lived here, and the impact they had and continue to have on this region and on our nation. It is indeed a story of and celebration of resistance, resilience and persistence, innovation and creativity, traits and characteristics that contributed to their survival, traits and characteristics that are essential for our continued collective ability to not only survive, but to thrive in both the present and in the future. In a minute, I will introduce our artists of the evening. The artists will present and then take a few audience questions during the question and answer period. Cynthia Gross and Anna Yates, raise your hands. Do you guys see them over there? Oi. They will be the runners with the mics. One will stay on one side, I assume that's Anna, and Cynthia will run over to the other. We invite you to go to the site. There's also, if you look on your link, I tell you that there's that link there on your brochure. Please do not lose this paper. Please make sure you go there and put your comments about the presentation. It is especially important for those of you who make the effort to come to each and every one of the presentations, because then you get a balanced view of what it is that we've seen and your perspective is deeper. So now I'm going to present the studio of Donna Dobberfuhl. Donna Dobberfuhl has been a professional sculptor since 1974, producing over 80 commissioned works throughout the United States. She holds an MFA from New York Academy of Art. Dobberfuhl is author of the National POW Memorial in Andersonville, Georgia. She was a Presidential Design Awards nominee, recognized for artistry and masonry by the International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers, acknowledged as the creator of one of the, and I quote, significant Christ sculptures in the United States, end quote. Her studio, Sculptural Designs Atelier, there you go, Atelier, boy. Yeah, and so it should, never mind. Has completed design projects in a variety of fields, including education, government, medical, military, religious, zoological, and private organizations. Dobberfuhl works in several different media: traditional bronze, water, and mosaic, contemporary steel, copper, and cast stone, and a 5,000-year-old process of carved brick. The diversity of media brings dynamic choices to her project designs. She is here this evening with two of her colleagues, Rick Reyes and Oscar Science. Please raise your hand so we can thank you. So now, without further ado, please help me give a warm St. Mary's College welcome to Donna and her colleagues.
Good afternoon. My name is Rick Reyes. Thank you, Dr. Jordan. Thank you, Mari. And I want to welcome all the committee members. Thank you for coming out here and all the guests. If you need to, I would suggest to move over in case I'm blocking your view of the presentation. But I want to make sure everybody gets a good view on this. We are so honored to be here. I'm still shaking from all the excitement. It's been many years since we put together this presentation. They're working on our history. I'm an architect, historian, author, artist. We all come together. So let us begin our presentation. Altura con Taniya. Altura con Taniya. The struggle continues. The slogan has been used in many conflicts. It was used in the Mozambique War for Independence. Other nations use it as well. It represents the struggle for freedom and the welfare of the people, the strife for equality. It was relevant then, and it is relevant now. If we do not constantly work against the injustice, we are leaving the door open for inequality. Throughout our history's nation, there have been much pain, suffering, and anguish. Many can relate to this injustice. Whips, chains, and lynchings were used to control the slaves. This has been recognized and brought forth by people like Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Slavery began in 1619 in the United States, making this year, 2019, the 400th year since the arrival of the first slave ships to the Americas. It is not only the slave struggle, but our struggle as well. We are all intertwined in this great planet we call Mother Earth. The ring and the commemorative sculpture represents Mother Earth. We'll be through this.
There you go.
We'll be through education and the arts, these tools that we will use to honor what needs to be recognized. St. Mary's is honoring the struggle through both education and the arts. In education, it's through the courses they teach. In business, that would be ethics. In economics, it's fair trade. Then there is the healing that will take place. This commemorative sculpture will be an area of reverence for contemplating in the healing process. In the healing process, first we must forgive ourselves to get rid of the shame of what and how our ancestors have been involved in slavery. We can't change the past. Second, we must forgive others. It is through forgiving that we overcome and better ourselves. Hatred and anger only creates more hatred and anger. It will not be easy, but it must be done to begin the healing process. Thirdly is the physical manifestation of healing. St. Mary's College, its staff, its benefactors, are recognizing the victims through this sculpture. We are all part of this process. Each one of us sitting here in this audience at this moment in time. All our connections are involved. We, you and I, all of us here, are doing this because we're all intertwined. St. Mary's is also continuing the struggle through the arts. What is art? Painting, a memorial, a sculpture? It can be almost anything. It's passion, compassion, spirit, your soul manifesting to a physical object or even sound. The commemorative site we are presenting is St. Mary's Discovered Secret. It's being brought out into the light for all to recognize their sacrifice, to help stop the shame some of us may carry, and to help the healing process. This curative process is the spiritual connection with the spirits of the past to help mold the future in a positive, compassionate way for all. This healing can begin in the commemorative space and be used to strengthen when feeling in doubt of our abilities, to draw upon strength when we think we have failed, and to remind us of how others have suffered. May this sculpture be a beginning for restoration and inspiration for this school, this county, this state, and the nation. May it spread out from here to help heal the scars of a young nation's slave history, to inspire new, positive growth in all directions. So how does this tie in? Just imagine a single drop of water hits a calm body of water. It creates a ripple effect and spreads from that single drop. This is the design behind the commemorative sculpture, or as I like to call it, a teardrop of healing in the sea of slavery. This ripple effect spreads through the physical and sound waves. At the top of the cenotaph will be a crystal representing the teardrop. As the water lands on that still water, body of water, it elevates back upward. So does this represent. The cenotaph itself represents the past of the slaves and their struggles. Over 36,000 voyages of slaves being captured, placed in tight quarters and shipped here, then working in the fields and even the children auctioned off. The bronze statues walking outward from the cenotaph represent the second wave of the water drop effect, the souls of the past. They are moving outward to spread the word that the struggle continues, altura continuada, even in their death, because they gave their lives for it, and we still have that insatiable quest for freedom. I know I do. I know I would not make a good slave. Would you make a good slave? The following wave is the ring of trees, not only forming the next wave, but also forming a buffer for a place of contemplation and reverence. The four walkways represent the four cardinal directions used to guide them and us in the journey to educate mankind on the injustice using the arts and healing. The walks also line in the east and west direction to represent balance. During the equinox, when the daytime is as long as the nighttime, which occurs twice a year, the sunrise and sunset will align with the east-west walkways, reminding us to seek balance in all aspects of our lives. Nature moves in waves, as you can see in the water drop effect, and is constantly changing. But twice a year, it centers up and finds balance. This is the balance we're looking for. Altura Quintinada. Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce the other guests. Oscar Saenz, who worked on the cenotaph and the centerpiece, will explain. And then Donna, who worked on the sculpture, the model. She will follow up with the talk.
Go ahead, Donna. Go ahead with the
Okay.
talk about the
All right, okay. All right. In this introduction, it's already been noted from our president and everything about who I am, who we are. The part that I'd like to point out to you is the method of the language of space. This is a method by process by how we decide what we're going to do and how important the space speaks back to us and how we should proceed. So basically, all our past public art projects have been used the principles of language of space, considerations that emphasize the environment in which a public art piece is to be placed. Through this method, this site revealed to us the great need to make a place of arrival and a place for contemplation. It became very clear that this place should embrace the visitor, enfold them, and in the experience, give them the understanding of perseverance. So that is one of the very important things that we used to do this. The model description, basically, as you've seen in the PowerPoint and everything, has 4 walkways. It represents the compass directions. The figures are representative of the future, the pushing out, the going beyond. Cenotaph, Oscar will describe to you in detail what our purpose of the cenotaph is integral to this whole design. The places, the contemplation, the 4 benches, is an example of what some place could be where you, as you approach this, can sit down and think about, enjoy, look at, go on from here. I have here these little figures right here are to give you scale of what we would be in size compared to the rest of this piece. So it's not overwhelming, it's not giant, it's in scale to us, can relate closer to us. Okay, I think you should go with cenotaph.
Thanks. Is this on? Yeah, okay. Thank you, Donna. So yeah, she discussed the scale. So it's 7 7-foot figures, so larger than life. And in sort of a modern view, you know, we look at memorials and we look at sculptures, you know, and they're up here and they're up on a pedestal. But this allows people to come in here and you're interacting. You can look in the children's faces. You connect with the people there. You become part of the humanity. And that's probably the most important aspect, because this isn't something to be observed out there. This is something that everybody connects with. The cenotaph, I'm going to read off what I wrote on it, but it's important to understand. The cenotaph itself, by definition, it's an empty tomb. But this, I didn't want this to just be an empty tomb. I wanted it to be a living memorial. So it's a living piece. On the cenotaph itself, and I invite you to come up after this presentation, it'll have 77 figures drawn and etched into the stainless steel, okay? The stainless steel piece itself will be 10 foot tall. It'll be crowned with a bronze piece, okay? And the bronze piece represents Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, okay? And so here's the significance of that. So Ursa Major is the bottom part of, like, it's kind of part of the Big Dipper. And if you look from there, that's Ursa Minor, and that's Polaris, that's the North Star. Well, the North Star was known as the Freedom Star. And so that was the star that people used on the Confederate Railroad. And that it was referred to as the Freedom Star, and it serves as a symbol of courage and bravery for those men and women that lived and died for the principles of humanity. The overall structure is 12 feet tall. The stainless steel is almost, it's not going to be, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with like a Compor piece where it's like the Bean in Chicago where it's super, but it's brushed steel, but it'll reflect the sky. it'll reflect the earth. And as the viewer walks into it, as people walk into it, you're connected to the piece. So your reflection is into the faces of the people in the narrative. I did a lot of research. I'm just going to say briefly. So I worked with a gentleman by the name of Professor Gregory Adams from the Smithsonian, and then I worked with the Carver Institute in San Antonio, Professor Andar Mott. And there were so many stories and so much to the Holocaust. I felt that the best way to describe and bring people into that was to tell the story in each individual face. So the composition of the people will be read in the individual faces, the 77 figures that are connected within it. Now, encased within the Freedom Star, as it aligns along the equinox, this will be a Swarovski prism. So on the equinox, twice a year, it'll reflect the shadow, as you see in there, but it'll also reflect a rainbow light across the path. So the rainbow light, as the sun rises, will be back here, and it'll guide along the path for sunset. So that is a representation of, well, of hope and rebirth and destiny. And hopefully this image and this space, it serves as a beacon. It serves as a beacon for healing and hope and humanity, and it educates us now, ephemerally, as we connect to the space and the language of space. And it's something that we carry with us when we leave, and it's something that we're able to share. So I think we're ready for Q&A. Yeah, Donna, you want to?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm supposed to run this?
Well, whoever. There is no leader. We're
a
a bunch of misfits that fit together. So
each of us will answer depending on what the question is
so,
concerning the model. Okay.
Absolutely.
So.
First, let's thank you for that introduction.
Oh.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience?
Oh dear. Nobody wonders?
It's right over to the thing.
Hi. So you talk a lot about the use of symbology, and you mentioned a bunch of very specific symbols when you were describing the works. What do you think the most important symbols you're using, and how do those symbols specifically reference the events that happened in this land?
Well, I think I have a handle on that. The story is in, like I said, the cenotaph itself of these people who were enslaved, their torture, their incarceration, and everything, and then hopefully it goes to the future and it moves out to these figures who are for tomorrow, who are going on, who are persevering. Is that sort of not?
I was thinking of, like, is there any specific way you're trying to connect the symbology to the events, or is it?
To the event here specifically at St. Mary's. Mm-hmm. I think the enslavement, go ahead.
Yes. If you come up here and look, there's tobacco leaves on here. That was the main product in this area, is tobacco. Mm-hmm. And so, and if you look at the figures, they're all tightly fit. Instead of, as we're standing here,
they're
far apart, these figures are going to be like here.
Yeah.
They were packed in the ships. They were packed in the houses,
homes,
in their homes. Yeah. They were given minimal stuff, and that's reflected. And that's why Oscar was saying, come up here and look at this. Look at the detail.
Right. Yeah. But the cenotaph represents that story here. It's talking about, like I said, the tobacco that was harvested, the people that were trapped here.
And the overall symbol as well, the teardrop. Here's the first wave, the next wave, the trees, the wave. Like an echo, it's going to start here and spread to the rest of this county, the rest of the state.
Okay.
And move on from there to the nation.
Does that help at all?
Yeah, thank you for answering.
You're welcome.
Hi, yes. So my question is, how much community involvement was put into this design? Like, was there interaction with community members? Because in this community surrounding this college, there are descendants of the people who were on these lands, who worked these lands, who were slaves here. And I'm just wondering if any of those people were consulted in this. And on a further note, is there any symbology concerning the history of enslaved people with this college as an institution?
Okay, first I'll answer the last part. Again, the story on the Cenotaph talks about the people here and what they had to do, you know, what they were incarcerated for, what they were doing, and everything. Forgot the first part.
Community involvement.
The community involvement was indirect. It came to us through St. Mary's. They gave us information. They gave us as much information through their documentation as they could manage to get to us. And other people had documentation also. We received that information, and that information we hopefully expanded on, integrated into ourselves to help develop a design.
And we spent quite a bit of time visiting many historic sites around here, and through a lot of the research through Dr. King, and then really going back, I went and met with some people. We have a prominent historian that is actually from this part of Maryland that we were able to tap into a lot of his knowledge, and also the records keeper for the Smithsonian was very key and crucial in helping us understand a lot of the story. And again, visiting the sites and being hands-on and going into all the historic sites and the houses, and really, I mean, it was, you know, quite a bit of, you know, research, which was, I'll be honest, was well above my head. So I had to
We were so much.
go to experts and really understand the dynamics. In terms of iconography, I was fortunate enough to meet with a professor. He is a filmmaker, and he's an expert on both African mythology and culture, and just he's like my new best friend. And so there was a lot of that came into that in terms of developing a lot of the composition within the language of the piece. So that was really the first thing that we challenged ourselves, and that's the first thing that we wanted to address, because there's a very specific sensitivity in terms of both academic merits and you know, the aesthetic and the almost the metaphysics of the space, which is incredibly important. I hope that answers your question.
There's one simple thing I want to add, one small simple thing. And at the last moment, we saw a televised program on PBS that was done by the state of Maryland about
and it had a lot of
slavery. We happened to pick up on it. It was on late one night. I happened to turn to it, and I couldn't believe it. I texted them. I said, "You won't believe this. Here it is, right here." And it was done by Maryland, and we got to get a piece of that story directly from that. So anyway.
I think that some of you missed that all of the artists had the opportunity and took our invitation to come to campus and visit, walk the sites, and speak with people in the community so that they could really get a feel for what this space should be and the nature of our community. So no one did it in isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
that
visited a
That was first
plantation.
and foremost.
Yeah.
I mean, without a doubt.
We visited one plantation, and that was the most disturbing part of our visit here, was that plantation, you know, and what it represented. And it was, we wanted to leave, really.
Well, and we left feeling that really we needed to give voice. We needed to give voices, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Yes, I would like to add that I spoke to a young lady from this area, and I want to ask y'all, raise a hand, how many historians are there in here of
Or pay attention anyway.
natural history? And a couple of you. I asked her, says, how do you know about your history? And she said, and this was a young black lady, very intelligent. She
In
works at the
town
port.
here.
In town.
Yeah.
And she says, from the history books. She says, didn't your family pass down the history? She said, no. We come from a place full of history, Alamo City. It's inbred. Every year, everybody celebrates. They know where you came from, what happened, and everything, and it's brought out. She didn't know. She didn't know a lot of the stuff, and this is what we need to bring out. So this is the purpose of them facing outward, is to get this education, spread it out. It takes everybody. It doesn't matter what race or who or how, the economic. It takes the willpower.
Okay.
Thank you.
I really like your idea. It seems really cool.
can't
I was
hear-
wondering if you.
Can't hear you.
A little closer.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's really cool. Is there a reason, like, did you say why you're using the number 7 a lot?
Well, yeah. There's all these rules to sacred geometry in terms of design when you're utilizing memorials that are important, and that is just like it's an academic thing, but it's just something you're supposed to do, and it's cross-cultural. I won't bore you with a long lecture, but you can go into cathedrals, for example, and the way they're constructed in terms of mathematic and ratio proportions, 3 to 5s, 4 to 5s, 1s to 8s, and these all create these harmonics. They literally will create a musical harmonic, okay? Now, they don't create the musical harmonic in space to where you sound in it and you hear it. It might, to a degree, but that is part of the visual language of design that goes should go into creating like a public space and a public site. So you'll see that in, and really anything. It's fascinating, really.
Well,
So that's why.
yeah,
7,
and it'd be, they'll tell
11,
them.
10 foot,
Yeah.
7 figures, 7 foot tall. Yeah, I mean,
12,
that's like the highest
10,
numbers.
12.
12, the highest.
4.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
You got to make
But
sure.
all of these numbers are not just something that
Yeah, they're
we've
not
picked
random.
now. They are found in all of the memorials, all of the structures
there's
throughout
rules.
a
That's
time
kind
of
of
our
it.
history, throughout in Egypt, the pyramids. There's
Yes.
everything that has been constructed is based on sacred geometry.
Sacred geometry.
And that is why this is being used again, because it has to be used again. That is the way it should be announced.
Does that answer your question? Was that too much? That was probably too much. I could blah, blah, blah.
Would you mind addressing talking a little bit about your design decisions for the figures, their poses, their
Oh,
dress?
why?
Yes,
Okay.
Great. Yeah.
You haven't really spoken about
Okay.
that.
All right, I can do that. All right, I didn't want to put them in a role of oppression. This is beyond that now. That's what the Cenotaph is. It's about the oppression. So we're going beyond that now. So what would be happening? Okay, my story. This gentleman, he's probably a blacksmith. He probably has an extra skill, and he's going to move on into a new role. This gentleman here, even though physically strong and appears to be healthy and everything, is exhausted. A youngster is cradling him or supporting him. This is a family, a new baby, the mother, the father, and they're dressed with the best clothes that they have in their possession, and they are going on to start a new life. The single mother over there with her child, alone, the last child that maybe she has that did not get sold away. The single man over there, where he's going, I don't know, but he's off to a new future. So those are the figures. We'll do this one first, and then you'll be after that. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I guess my question is, how do you help those in this community understand what you are saying? Because I understand from an academic perspective some of the things you're saying, but I'm trying to figure out how you would really engage a community that may come from slavery. How do you help them understand or us understand those
Well,
concepts?
this piece does not exist yet, so we haven't been able to help them directly. When this piece exists, then we hope the help happens. There's going to be a story talking about this design, talking about what is going on here when you approach it, okay? And that is where I hope that understanding, explanation, the college talking about this piece when it's in place, and they giving the history, they talking about all the aspects of it and everything and what it means. Does that answer anything at all? I see a doubt in your face.
Yeah, and let me add a little bit, because that's something that, I really looked at. I thought, well, do we include, sort of these educational placards? How do we do that? And I'm an art historian, but I'm not a historian, and some of the best historians are there. And so, like, when we toured the old city and the way they're rebuilding it and all the I think that their job is to engage the community on an education and a purely academic level.
Yeah, on a
if
daily
that makes
basis.
sense.
On a daily basis.
And so this was really, there were two goals in mind. So one is, it's the ephemeral. See, it's the immediate. So you grab it, it's beautiful and wow. But then when you interact with it, because they're not up there, you're right there in their faces, you're right there with the pieces, then it becomes an experience. I think that's really, at least from my part of the team, where I was really trying to develop those moments, I'm just going to, real quick, I was very fortunate because my mother, when I was young, dragged me everywhere, and she, made me see art, and she made me go to museums. And those experiences from being a child are why I'm standing here in front of you today. So that's the connection. That's really what it's just the most hardest thing in the world to do, but that's really what the goal is.
Yeah. I think this piece is a interpretation with form and design, okay? It's a way to tell the story through these objects and everything. If you think, for example, if you've seen it or heard about it, obviously, is the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. It is all but names of all of the people who died. All of their names, one after the other, on and on and on. And then walking up and the impact of that, of looking at all these names. So that's a different way to impact you with the story of how powerful and what happened, how powerful it was and what happened. We're trying to do it through the figurative work, through the story on the cenotaph and the figures moving on. That's what we want the story to tell
humanity.
you, is that it's to go on.
Humanity that
It's
was
not, yeah,
lost.
it's humanity. It's to go on and to be proud and to be strong. And that's why these people are not what's the word?
I know what you're saying.
Messed up. They've got a
empowered.
new beginning in their hearts. They know they've got a future now. And that's what I wanted to focus on, is what they got when slavery was abolished, what they got when it was a starting of a new beginning for them.
It's about empowerment.
Yeah, and we didn't want to lose the beginning story, where they came from, what happened to them. And so the cenotaph is integral to that, of telling that horror of that story. That's about, I'm sorry, I'm getting so passionate here.
I could go on.
Okay.
Thank you. Could you talk a little bit more about the elements of the site? I mean, from where we're sitting, it looks like it's slightly elevated.
Oh,
and there
Rick,
might
that's
be,
probably
I don't know whether
the
it's
architect.
elements of it are illuminated at night and things like that.
Yeah.
Yes, we wanted to elevate it to that way you could approach it and have a sense of reverence rather than just being flat out there. So it's above the rest of the world. It's a sacred place. There's many energies in life. That's why the cathedrals are built in certain places. They have certain layouts. as Oscar was saying. All these energies coming into play. So as you're approaching this, you walk up, and you know that it's something supposed to be respected.
Different.
Different than just the surroundings. There'll be trees around it as well to protect it, give it a sense of security as well. Now, what was that other part?
You just said the
lands-
layout. What is the layout?
And so
for?
you have the 4 cardinal directions, northeast, southwest, to help guide your way. Through ancient history, they've always used those. Many of them use the sailors, the town here as
Yeah,
well.
the navigation.
Yeah, the nautical.
It was laid out
Yeah.
northeast, southwest. So that way, when you came out, they didn't have watches. They could tell by the sun, this row, right here, this road is east-west. So the sun's over here at this time, they knew what time it was. Same thing with this layout. It'll give you that sense. You'll see this as a timepiece. And thank you for that question, because many people don't. It'll mark the shadows in the area. There's so much more that can go into this. The green space, we just wanted grass so you can lay around, relax, sit there, contemplate, lay out here, enjoy it. And then it's protected. It's round, the sidewalk around represents Mother Earth. And that it's got its green fields. It's all laid out to relax, to help yourself, to gain energy from this, to just sit there and look at that and see her, she's cuddling her child. He's hurting. And that's why you put the benches here, so that way you can just sit there, relax on a Sunday morning and just look at it and just, wow. You see the clouds coming on by.
Yeah.
Just feel that energy flowing.
Yeah. Well, just think about when the equinox happens, and you make a point to go out there to see that beam.
It's sunrise.
That's that beam of rainbow band from that event. That, again, a new beginning, going on. The designation of the North Star and its significance in navigation and significance to everyone before us when we had all of this crap GPS, that this is how you got around, okay? You use the stars, you use the sun, you use the east and west. That's why. It's back to their core of what we know.
You didn't answer the question about lighting. Yes.
Oh,
Lighting. Oh, okay.
Oh, that was the
There
first
you
part
go.
I couldn't remember. We want some low lighting in here, so we'll put some actually LED lights, so that way we don't want to overpower it.
No.
So we'll get with an electrical engineer, come in and design, put in some nice lighting, so that way you can come out at night, enjoy it.
It'll have a glow.
As far as having a tower with a light pole, no. She would kill me.
Well, it's the worst thing on the planet is putting an uplight on a piece of sculpture. You've done a flashlight, haven't you? Oh, no.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
No, we're going to do some kind of lighting that is ambient type of light that will help at the nighttime, that it makes it a safe place to be. We don't want it to be dark and,
Right.
and everything. So that's the purpose of the lighting. Is that okay?
I have lots of questions,
Yes.
but I get to hang out with you later, so I'll ask you my
Well, we can sit around and
Yes.
talk about it,
One of
yeah.
the questions I just want to know, what would be the time frame to construct this?
The whole piece?
From the time the contract is signed? and
If they do what they're
ready
supposed to
for
do.
unveiling,
So permit is the biggest issue, historic
Yeah.
permitting. That will kill any
That'll kill it
project.
right there, yeah.
They've already done a lot of the.
If you can assist with permitting, giving us an answer, we could probably get this done. Well, the biggest piece will be the bronze. Those are 8 months
Those take the
out.
longest. And that's about 8 months.
The landscaping, and we would like to have this be, so we can be here at the equinox to line this up in the east-west direction.
Yeah, the ultimate goal would be to have this by the equinox.
Yeah. If we can start this piece We showed starting in July,
We've
right?
got about
Well, the
10
latest, we
different.
can finish in July, the landscaping.
Yeah,
You
it could
tell
be,
us go, you're looking at 2 to 3 months for the landscaping, put the
Right,
concrete,
right.
put that down, let the grass grow. The bronze after that, bronze statues, 8 months out. So we can get finished as early as October.
Mm-hmm.
However, the
done.
permitting, that
Yeah.
take, how long, Maury? 7 months?
Yeah.
Okay, not an issue. Yeah, yeah,
It won't be an issue.
tentatively, we were like really hoping to have it done, if we were selected, of course, by the equinox, that- this March, by
No.
by
The winter,
March.
Starting now.
Start
now.
by March, and we'd have it done. The bronze statues would be the last
So
part.
12
Yeah.
months.
And the-
Everything else would be there. Then we come in and just set them, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, yeah.
As soon as they're done, manufactured. That also depends on their line assembly, pieces coming in.
Whatever, yeah. And the
Things out of our
sculpture,
nature.
that's the longest timeline for the sculpture. It very easily could pull back 2 months.
Yeah.
Depends on what the foundry circumstances are at the time. Okay, so the 8-month is the outlying deadline, timeline. It's very likely 6 months. So,
One more question, and
Yes,
then
sir.
I'll let people go, because I don't want to hog this up. But, we talk about the stones. Stones are very important in certain cultures.
Yes.
We have these boulders here. Are there going to be any particular type of
Yes.
boulder?
well, to the area.
And that will be
yeah.
your input as well.
That's to the area, from the area, yeah.
Yes.
Our intent is from the area.
Yes.
They can represent very easily the stars.
Yes.
Yeah, we're looking at different
Around
Constellation
the
layout.
constellation. They
all
could
these
represent
things.
aspects of that.
There's so much into this.
There's
Yeah.
so
It just-
So much, we're getting overboard here.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
yeah, that's interesting.
I'd like to follow Dr. Jordan's question about the boulders with a request to help us think more about the material decisions that you made, the organic, the inorganic.
Well, we've made no decisions now. This is only a model.
Yeah,
It
go
can
ahead.
change.
Go ahead.
Your
Yeah. It's
input on
Yeah,
that.
the landscaping and all that stuff. We're definitely
it's all going to be,
we're using a lot of local
from here.
contractors,
Yeah.
local developers,
Yes.
and local engineering firms. Of course, we have to.
we're not going to
But-
bring anything from San Antonio up here, okay?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We're
sir.
going to work with the local aspect, the local
So,
contractors, the local
Then
material.
let me rephrase the question a different way, since this is hypothetical.
Okay.
There's a sense in which this project is about transformation and healing, about unearthing and addressing the complicated exploitation of bodies and of the planet in the past, and thinking about how to undo and reorient those practices in a way, sublimating them into something that's useful for thinking about the future. So I'm wondering if and how, when you come to that point of deciding what the statues will be made of, where the stainless steel will be sourced, whether the tree species will be native
Absolutely.
or
Yes, of course.
representative of the
Yeah.
African diaspora. Can you help us think a little bit with you about how you'll make those decisions and how they'll be a part of that ripple effect towards transformation,
No, that-
rather than
That will be done locally.
reproducing the same
That is
practices?
a
Yeah.
very good point. And yeah,
We're going to be working with
so,
local people.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of the landscaping decisions and the geology and all those things, they have to be environmentally conscious. And also,
Well, they have to come from here.
And the
they come from
LEEDs,
here.
I believe we're working with the LEEDs program. Is that what it's called?
Yes,
Yeah,
lead.
Leads.
And so the trees, we were looking at non-coniferous, which were original indigenous trees.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of those elements those are a lot of the questions that still need to be sort of sorted out. And so, you want to define, a lot of specifics, especially in terms of production and in terms of how these projects are being generated, with specific contractors and licensing, et cetera. But at the same time, there has to absolutely be some ambiguity in terms of the physical environmental design. We're not going to, a sculpture in New York is different from a sculpture in Oregon is
No,
different from sculpture. You know what I'm saying? So yes. Does that answer your question? Or am I talking way
See,
too
this whole idea centers on this place. This design is not made for any place else. And everything that we do, if we move forward, we are consulting and asking for help.
Yes.
Because like I said, I'm not going to bring a tree up from San Antonio and stick it
Yeah.
here. That's stupid. You know, everything that we do here comes from here. You mentioned the stainless steel. The stainless steel will be here in the U.S. Okay. All right. It's going to be. And the longest lasting sculptures in the world, when they're made of metal, is bronze. We picked something that has been there. If you've been to Europe, those sculptures are bronze. They've been there for a long, long time. But everything here is going to be.
It has to be connected. Everything
Yeah,
has to
yeah.
have a symbiotic relationship.
And we will get our information
Absolutely.
here. We're not going to usurp anyone. We're going to ask for consultation. We're going to ask for people to tell us what should the landscape be like,
it's imperative.
what the
You
trees
have
should
to.
be, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have to.
Okay, I have a couple of just almost nitpicky questions.
Sure.
And the first is really about the fact that the crystal is connected to the North Star. And so I have a question about the fact that the figures are moving away from the North Star and how that might kind of fit into your overall vision for the project. The other is, and I've another question and then just a comment. The other point that I was wondering about is, as those trees grow, will they block the crystal and the effect that you're imagining with the rainbow? And so that might be just about spacing and such. The final point I wanted to make is really just to kind of check and see if I have something right. So in terms of the viewer, you use the words sort of embrace and fold and give understanding. And those all seem to me fairly passive words in terms of how the viewer kind of interacts with this. And yet there's another element where if the viewer comes up to the cenotaph, then they're going to see their reflection in the central figure. And so would you say that that is the place where the viewer maybe is the most active at this site?
Wow, that's awesome.
Well,
I mean,
So
these are
I'm
deeply
just
philosophical
curious
questions.
Yes,
how you
ma'am.
think
Ricky,
through that piece of
Oscar.
it.
Okay, on that last part there, everything, and you said moving away from the North Star, they're not. They're being guided by the North Star. I want to point that out to you. Okay,
That's
they're-
really helpful. Thank
right,
you.
They're being guided by the North Star, as we all indirectly or directly have been guided by the North Star. Now you want to go ahead.
And yeah, those are some deeply philosophical questions, which I love, by the way. And you may regret my answer. But no, absolutely. I mean, I've been working with stainless for about 14 years. And one of the things I love about the material is the way it engages people to be part of it. Mm-hmm. So as you go in there, it definitely will, it absolutely, just by its very physical property and nature, will pull you into the image. The other idea is, as with a teardrop and as with the wave, you have this ripple effect, but you also have this counter effect. Mm-hmm. So when I was talking to this one professor friend of mine, he suggested, and it's something that I hadn't really seen, but it's like this force up, and it's like this force out, and it's like this force up. So then it's sort of, I don't know. I mean, you're getting some very metaphysical specifics in terms of location and language of space.
Well,
and I love, by the way, that those are so nitpicky, because those are fun. That's when you really question yourselves, and when you're engaging in a lot of the design process.
Yeah. Well, we know from producing works over so many years and everything that the work goes beyond what you had planned for it. This piece we know because of how powerful the story is and how it's moved the three of us, that this is going to do things we have no idea what the response is going to be.
It's okay. No, we need to make sure we get there.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be near the stadium, the new fields and things. Will there be an interpretation sign directing people to this location? Because all of the way that you foresee it happening, a person can just come here and say, boy, that's a nice sculptures or whatever. But it hadn't make them grow in information. They can admire how good you do this, but how would they understand what this is representing? It was slaves here, and where would they learn that from?
Well, the college is going to help us with that.
Yeah,
Will there be a sign directing them
Right,
where this
the
is?
college
almost
is going to help
warrants
us
that,
with
right?
that circumstance.
I think it almost absolutely warrants that.
Yeah.
But one of the things, and this is part of Donna's design. I'm sorry, Donna. This isn't like there's when we go into the reception room, you'll see the architectural plans, how it's drawn out. So it isn't like here's a parking lot, you walk through it, there's a stadium. You have to make an effort to come in to see this.
But you have to walk by this.
You walk by it,
will
but you
walk
aren't
by
going to. It's not just a traffic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you actually have to make the physical effort. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea. Putting some points of reference and some explanation in the narrative.
Well,
It
well, that's
almost
what we-
warrants it.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
it is.
Yeah.
And everything on the campus when we walk.
Yeah.
They haven't come away with information to understand what
Right, right. It's like when you've walked around the college here and you've seen some of these signage that's talked about, you know.
Bronze plaques.
The bronze
Yeah, we
plaques that
to
have talked about things.
We
We've
have
seen.
to do a really nice, right.
Well, whatever it is,
these.
we will,
That's
yes.
where the committee will help us.
That's what help
come in,
us come up with
Put
that.
in there, just like
Yeah.
the state has those bronze plaques.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mulatto that was over here, it's got it all there. Those could
Yeah.
be placed off here, gently off to the side.
Well,
So
or just
that way it
wherever,
gives information for it.
You know.
Yeah,
But those
and-
are details that we'll work out with the committee.
Yeah, yeah.
If
Well,
we get accepted, that's what we want to see. Yes, we want to see information. We want to
Yeah,
see the
yeah,
questions coming out at us. That way we can piece all this together, make the whole community.
This is just
This
the
is for you.
beginning. This is just the beginning.
This is for the community.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of the story. Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, it absolutely warrants that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely does. Thank you.
We have one more thing, my thing at the end. I have one more thing to final, a final.
Really quick conclusion.
May I do just a final here? It's just a brief, okay. All right. This opportunity has truly been a unique experience for all three of us. It brought to us the brief understanding of the horrors of slavery, to come face to face with the fact that this is a part of our history. With access to all the documents that St. Mary's gave to us and others, we have been able to tell a portion of the story through our media, permanently visualizing it, a gift that we hope always will remind us and never allow us to forget this history. Through history, slavery has found a home in many places and many cultures. It's even amongst the warring tribes of Africa. It is said that a person actually dies twice, first in their physical death, and second when they are forgotten. Well, now, these people will not be forgotten. May they rest in peace, and may we forgive ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. You can see that this project
Is that okay?
evokes a lot of emotion, and it just depends on how much time you spend really looking and studying. You know, we have a tendency in this world today to just want to get it, right? You see something, it should arrest you. You take a moment, look at it, it's like, oh, I got it, and you move on. But remember, this should be a contemplative sight, and it should give you pause. Right? And how that speaks to you depends on the individual. So we will see lots of different interpretations. I invite all of you, again, I will say, if you cannot make all three presentations, go to the link, go online and look at the recordings. They're all going to be video taped to try to get you to see what's going on and think about what it means for this community and how it is at best expressed in these creative works. I also invite you, those of you who have those smartphones, come up here and use your QR code and look at how this thing gets projected so you can get a better feel for it. Also, go to the reception. Look at the layout, interact with the artists, and continue to ask them your really thoughtful questions, and then you have time to reflect, and then we will deliberate. So I want to thank this group once again for spending time with us, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you.